Metaphysics by Aristotle, Book 1, Chapter 5. I'll just read a little bit of this. I thought it was interesting regarding the history of the Pythagoreans, or Aristotle's descriptions of what they believed and how they functioned. Contemporaneously with these philosophers, and before them, the so-called Pythagoreans, who were the first to take up mathematics, not only advanced the study, but also, having been brought up in it, they thought the principles were the principles of all things. Since of these principles numbers are by nature the first, and in numbers they seem to see many resemblances to the things that exist and come into being, more than in fire and earth and water, such and such a modification of numbers being justice, another being soul and reason, another being opportunity, and similarly almost all other things being numerically expressible. Since, again, they saw that the modifications and the ratios of the musical scales were expressible in numbers. Since, then, all other things seem to their whole nature to be modeled on numbers, and numbers seem to be the first things in the whole of nature, they supposed the elements of numbers to be the elements of all things, and the whole heaven to be a musical scale and a number, and all the properties of numbers and scales which they could show to agree with the attributes and parts and the whole arrangement of the heavens, they collected and fitted into their scheme. And if there was a gap anywhere, they readily made additions so as to make their whole theory coherent. E.g., as the number 10 is thought to be perfect and to comprise the whole nature of numbers, they say that the bodies which move through the heavens are 10. But as the visible bodies are only 9, to meet this they invent a 10th, the counter-earth. We have discussed these matters more exactly elsewhere. But the object of our review is that we may learn from these philosophers also what they suppose to be the principles and how these fall under the causes we have named. Evidently, then, these thinkers also consider that number is the principle both as matter for things and as forming both their modifications and their permanent states, and hold that the elements of numbers are the even and the odd, and that of these the latter is limited, and the former unlimited, and that the one proceeds from both of these, for it is both even and odd, and the number from the one, and that the whole heaven, as has been said, is numbers. Other members of this same school say there are 10 principles, which they arrange in 2 columns of cognates, limited and unlimited, odd and even, one in plurality, right and left, male and female, resting and moving, straight and curved, light and darkness, good and bad, square and oblong. In this way, Alcmaeon of Croton seems also to have conceived the matter, and either he got this view from them or they got it from him. But he expressed himself similarly to them. For he says most human affairs go in pairs, meaning not definite contrarieties such as the Pythagoreans speak of, but any chance contrarieties, e.g. white and black, sweet and bitter, good and bad, great and small. He threw out indefinite suggestions about other contrarieties, but the Pythagoreans declared both how many and which the contrarieties are. From both these schools, then, we can learn this much, that the contrarieties are the principles of things, and how many of these principles are, and which they are, we can learn from one of the 2 schools. But how these principles came to be brought together under the causes we have named has yet been clearly and articulately stated by them. They seem, however, to range the elements under the head of matter, for out of these are eminent parts, they say, substance is composed and molded.